the Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Why We Vote in our last episode before Christmas.
Yeah.
Joined by the one and only Ash Epp. How you doing, Ash?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I don't know. I'm a little irritated that nobody's been tried for treason yet, but we seem to be getting closer, so that's good. And,
we are getting closer.
It's been a busy week. Been a busy couple of weeks in the election-related domains of news.
It has. Last week's show, we did a pre-record, and wouldn't you know, right after we're done with the pre-record, the DOJ sues Fulton County, and I'm like, son of a bitch. But it was appropriate. We had Kathy Latham on last week, and that was an awesome interview. Kathy is a badass, and if you're listening, happy or Merry Christmas, Miss Latham, and keep up the great work.
Flying Storm says, Ash, judge may be convicted. Which judge are we talking about?
Dugan.
Dugan was convicted, right?
Yep.
This says maybe. Are we talking? Is there another judge that maybe? I would enjoy that.
Judge may be convicted. I don't know. I know.
Explain yourself, Flying Storm.
Yeah, that's the only one I know of. I do know that they pushed back the hearings or the depositions for the Clintons, and I'm okay with it because we found out yesterday or today that apparently they invited Epstein to like some Moroccan king's wedding or something, and we're only finding out about this 23 years later because nobody paid attention to who the former president of the United States brought to a royal wedding. Just a really bizarre story. Chris and I covered it this morning, and of course, I think we both came to the consensus that it's fake.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it was really hard to get Chris there.
It's always hard to get Chris to say something's fake. That's the hardest thing to do, man.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
All right. Well, guys, tonight's show, going to keep it a little bit laid back. We're going to talk a little bit about Fulton County and the lawsuit and Mark Elias's response. Ash had a pretty epic rant about Colorado that we'll talk about that as well. And I found an interview from 4 years ago that I did. Somebody tagged me in it, and we're going to play a little bit of that. It was from actually the day that I met Ash and Chris Paul, and yeah, we'll play a little bit of that as well.
It's been that, I'm surprised we haven't revisited this sooner, that you were ranting on the mic at the Cyber Symposium.
Oh, I don't actually have that one on there.
Ah.
I don't actually have that rant. That'd be epic if I could find the CNN clip of that. But yeah, so I do mention it though. I do mention it.
But my point was that whole that time it's just been so relevant lately.
I can't wait for all of that to come around. But all right, so first let's jump in here, check out a couple of our sponsors, and we'll get into the show.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
All right, Pet Club 24/7, and then let's get a word from our friends over at Unicity.
You deserve more than sluggish mornings and blood sugar spikes. Discover the simple daily system that helped so many regain health without dieting or exercise routines. 2 easy-to-take daily drinks. A brain-boosting, appetite-suppressing morning blend that ushers in energy and clarity. A hearty, fiber-packed pre-meal drink that stabilizes blood sugar, aids digestion, and fights cravings. It's a gentle, science-backed path to improved metabolism, renewed vitality, and lasting weight control. Feeling better starts with this simple 2-step daily protocol.
All right, guys, if you're feeling sluggish, can't lose weight, or you're just tired of the hold Big Pharma has on you, head over to badlandshealth.com to get started today, and you've got nothing to lose with their 90-day money-back guarantee. All right. Speaking of which, Trump had a great day today with Big Pharma. That was epic. Basically, most favored nation status for the United States. We're only going to pay for our drugs what other countries pay, the cheapest of the other countries. There were a shit ton of 17s and Q references throughout that hearing today. A lot. Unnecessarily too. Like he at one point,
I saw you say that in the back channels. I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I don't know.
Yeah, at one point they're like, "Oh, they're bringing the drug down from $450 down to $16," and he's like, "Why not $17?"
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So,
Love to see it. There's so much going on. Just like yesterday, pulling the brief together, it's just there's an insane amount of change happening right before the end of the year. And did you see that on the first day of Freedom Fest or Freedom 250 that he announced is also the first day of Gart Deadwood?
Yeah.
And we're going to be at Mount Rushmore.
It's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. He's setting up the golden age. It's all coming to fruition. It is all playing out so beautifully right now. Gotta imagine that the election integrity information is coming soon. Truckloads, he says, in a couple of months. He said truckloads. So smash that thumbs up, guys, if you have not done so already. And you want to jump into my first interview. This wasn't my first interview, but this was the most recent interview that I can remember furthest back. And here we go. We'll play a couple minutes of this. So in the middle of the presentation this was raw data. They'd just gotten this, the day before, whatever. This is something that will take forensic experts weeks to go through. And while I was sitting in the front row streaming, a gentleman came up and was like, "Hey, you see that code up there? This, and this. That means that this number has to match this number. And if they don't match, it's coming from an outside computer. It's not the same organic computer." And I said, "Dude, go up there." And so he jumped up there and he laid out, he's one of the experts here. He laid out why this one line of code implies that a computer was remotely accessing the Mesa County computer system. And so that's a major development because these machines are supposed to be air gapped. And if I recall correctly, this was on November 3rd that this access was made. Furthermore, on October 19th, we found a string of code that was activated. I'm not a tech person, but it was a string of code that was either modified or whatever on 2 weeks before the election on October 19th. And it basically softened the security measures on the machine. Okay, as it was explained, it essentially decrypted the firewall, the protection on the machine, making it accessible for outside intruders to come into that machine and make manipulations if they understand how to get in. So they made a door, they opened a door, they showed a way through the internet connectivity how to get in there, and then it looks like they maybe cleaned up their tracks after the fact.
And then so this is a similar pattern that we've seen throughout the last year or whatever. Well, not the last year, but the last handful of months since the election, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in Maricopa. We haven't seen it yet in Maricopa, but they did release that the adjudication logs were deleted and that they were able to recover them. In Antrim County, through the ASOG group and the Matt DePerno report that they did up there, we know that the adjudication logs were deleted because they were preserved from previous elections. But the 2020 election was not there on the software that they were checking. So yes, it is a pattern. And now to see it out of Colorado, a state that nobody ever really thought was going to be a swing state, even if it went Trump in 2020, it wouldn't have influenced the election enough. It's not a significant number of electoral votes in the grand scheme of things. The swing states were mapped out. So the fact that we found this in Colorado is very bizarre. And I think it warrants looking into other places that have discrepancies that are impactful, like Georgia, like Michigan, like Wisconsin, like Arizona, Pennsylvania. These are places that we need to look. And there's several things that
people tend to forget. In Arizona, 2 days after the election on November 5th, Elliot Kerwin was arrested with 8 USB drives and computers and hard drives that were used to infiltrate the VARS system in Arizona, which is the voter registration system and tracks real-time votes and who voted on election day. So that was infiltrated. We haven't heard anything about that. The FBI raided their house on it. The Secretary of State sent out a press release to Arizonans saying, hey, your information might have been leaked. Okay. In Pennsylvania, a month before the election, somebody broke into the election warehouse and stole 8 USB sticks and a laptop from the election warehouse. And they wrote it off and said, oh, it's no big deal. It has no impact on the election. I kind of think it did. And if it didn't, we at least deserve to look at it. The ballots are preserved. All the election information is preserved for 22 months, specifically for this reason. And one of the key points they drove home last night is if this election was perfectly safe and perfectly secure and everything like that, they would be rubbing this in our faces. They would be saying, here, look at it. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. They'd be looking at it and saying, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. But they're not doing that. They're fighting every step of the way to stop. They've spent more money than these audits cost defending it. So
What do you think about as far as the media since this event? What do you like?
Here's the CNN
what's
thing.
coming out in the media. What do you think about that as far as what's actually happening here and what the media is portraying?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to watch too much media because I'm going, from 7 a.m. I'm here and I don't get back to my hotel until 11 at night.
You hear some of what's being said out.
Well, I did hear through some of my subscribers that messaged me and all that saying, hey, you were featured on CNN because I had a little outburst yesterday. I said, when is enough enough? Like, when are we going to, this has all been out there. When is the media going to do their job and report? And I slipped up. And at the end, I said, stop the fact checking. I didn't mean to say stop the fact checking.
You gave him a soundbite.
Yes, I did. I gave him a soundbite. You're welcome, CNN. I meant to say stop the fake fact checking because I've debunked fact checks all day long. I mean, the Ruby Freeman, the suitcase gate. I literally made a channel out of debunking fact checkers, and I ended up becoming a victim of it. And I meant to say fake fact checking, but then the worst part is they turned around and represented me as a presenter here. I am not affiliated with this organization. I am not affiliated with Mike Lindell. I'm not affiliated with the symposium. So fact check that.
All right, we can end there.
Mic drop.
It was a long time ago.
So Maggravator said Brian looks Muslim, and I put her comment up on the screen for like a solid 20 seconds, and you were looking down and didn't see it, I don't think.
I did not see it. I was looking at the screen on the left, so I didn't see it. Well, thanks, Mags. A lot of love there. Jeez. With friends like
so
these.
When you're saying, Colorado, it's not a swing state. Like, why are we looking at Colorado, right? That whole vibe. I had this returning flood of emotion of like an emotional memory, of that time period when here in Colorado, we were like, you guys, test kitchen. And everybody was like, not a swing state.
Well, that was the mentality. The mentality. And I mean, we had so much that we were trying to do. Like, there was a very specific mission at this time in the election integrity movement. And that was to get 2020 overturned. Like, we were crunching and trying to get that done. And, it was kind of like, why are we spending time on Colorado when that's kind of counterintuitive to the point here? And, now in hindsight, I mean, election integrity is, spread well beyond just President Trump himself in the 2020 election. And because of that, Colorado is very relevant. Drink.
Yeah. And that is a great segue into my post. So our attorney general is, I think, having a nervous breakdown, like live on camera all the time. And so I want to play this. It's just 27 seconds. This is about the NOAA thing, right? So they shut down. I'm sure you covered it on Daily. They shut down, like they're moving the Atmospheric Research Center, National Atmospheric Research Center out of Colorado. They are wigging about it. And probably going to sue. Now, Phil Weiser, the guy on the screen, he's got 47 lawsuits already. And with what we've seen, the DOJ doing in Colorado over the past couple of weeks, the different announcements, different topics, right? But all kind of pointing at corruption. I think it's interesting. We're seeing, I think, so I've been since November of 2024, I've been saying that I think there's going to be a Rocky Mountain showdown where these, core constitutional issues about our prime topics, immigration and election frauds, free Tina Peters, those things, it's gonna come down, and we're gonna see like this dramatic kind of story. At least I've hoped for it, and I've openly said that I was hoping for it. And I think we're starting to see it. I'm pretty excited about it. But let me set this up for you guys. This is the law in Colorado. So you're like, what's going on in Colorado? Where is the law? This is the law.
Once again, President Trump wants to bully, threaten, intimidate Colorado. It's not going to work. His latest threats to shut down NCAR, to take away grants, because he doesn't appreciate the fact that we believe in mail-in elections, that we hold people accountable for undermining our elections, and that we believe climate change is real and we're addressing it. Here's the real deal. When he breaks the law, we go to court, we stand up for Colorado, and we're winning again and again.
47 lawsuits. He also put out, let's see if I can find it. Sorry, I should have had it pulled up. He put out a written statement that talks about that. Yeah. Is it this one? Yeah. So this one, this is a good one. This tells you a little bit where his head is at. Everything comes back to elections. Everything comes back. So the National Atmospheric Research Spetzel says ashes on the Colorado rug isn't made from alpaca wool. Yes. Yes, it is.
And it's soft.
100% alpaca. It's 100% alpaca fiber rug that you can only get at willowwindgoods.com. Okay. Is this pulled in? Okay. So this is in response on the president's move to dismantle the National Center for Atmospheric Research here in Colorado. The president attacks on critical scientific research at NCAR, climate action, and Colorado's voting system are unprecedented and lawless. He may not like Colorado's voting system or the fact that we take action to protect the integrity of our voting systems, but he has no authority to act in this manner, and we will not be swayed by his efforts to threaten, intimidate, or punish our state. We are already in court 47 times defending Colorado and will continue to do so, including as appropriate in the face of these latest actions. What did he spend the most time on? This is in response to the National Center for Atmospheric Research. He doesn't mention climate. He says climate action, but like he doesn't go into next level detail on climate action. He says he's wigging, I think.
Well, so when we covered that on Daily, I think we doesn't it account for something like 15,000 jobs in Colorado Springs?
No, I don't have those numbers in front of me.
It was a big deal. It was a pretty big deal.
So this is what I want to talk about. So you will remember, it was like a couple months ago. He promised harsh measures. Mm-hmm. Remember when he promised harsh measures if Tina Peters wasn't freed? And at that time, I said, there's only so much that the president can do. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that is very, very impactful to Colorado is the discretionary federal spending. Our state is drunk on it. And in addition to the discretionary federal spending, 10% of our workforce was NGO. I say was because I can't imagine they're still being paid right now after the USAID thing. So 10% of the workforce in the state of Colorado. That's mental, by the way, that they're NGO employees, but the USAID cuts definitely impacted them as well. He's pressuring them in massive ways where it's like, it doesn't sound super sexy to say, oh, he's going to cut federal funding. Like, so what, right? No, this is a really big deal to these people because they're all cost center jobs. They don't actually produce anything. They provide no benefit to us, and they're making the problems that we pay them to solve. They're making those problems worse.
So, by the way, we got an update on that today with the fundings with Marco Rubio. Did you hear what he said today? That instead of using NGOs and these organizations like this to spend the money, they're just going to give it directly to the countries that were, supposed to be providing assistance to. So I think Rubio's actually got a pretty good grip on this. I still don't like the idea of us giving money to other countries, but if we are going to be doing it, at least not be doing it through NGOs and the military industrial complex like that. This is something, and we just got the bill, the penetration testing facet of the NDAA, and I think that's going to give another piece of leverage to President Trump when it comes time to withholding federal funding, because none of these machines can withstand the scrutiny of penetration testing. I've got an article. I've got an article that'll be going up probably tomorrow morning at some point, where I cited Clay and his testimony in Kerry Lake, in a complaint filed by Kerry Lake back in the day, where he says that he wasn't allowed to do any type of penetration testing. They would stop him before he was able to get that deep into the machines, and that's done deliberately. That's done deliberately because they can't hold up to the scrutiny if somebody like Clay is able to go, layers deep into that. Hey, relax, guys.
Couple times. He did it a couple times.
Yeah, I did say penetration testing. That's literally what it's called. Get your minds out the gutters. Let's
ethical hacking.
Penetration testing is literally what it's called. It's a pen tester. Come on. That's what Colonel Smith was doing.
Somebody should clip like a montage of him saying just penetration
pen tester. Penetration testing. Gotta test the penetration. But yeah, anyways, the whole point, I think, of that bill and that section of the bill, and I love it, is it's going to give the ability to withhold this funding.
Yeah. So I think that Colorado is very important. I would like to read this. Can I read it?
Absolutely. Hold on.
Moment of personal privilege. The beatings will continue until this is the description of the Colorado rug made of
while you're
alpaca wool.
penetration testing.
This is the sales pitch for the 100% alpaca wool Colorado rug, willowandgoods.com. The beatings will continue until the Colorado executive branch teams, current and former, and all their public-private co-conspirators are in prison after due process, of course, and Tina Peters is free. If the RICO running our state is not held to account and convicted or acquitted for their crimes by a real empowered jury, then we do not have a nation. We are ruled by organized crime. What crime? Stolen elections and weaponization of government, which form the foundation of all the other crime. And there's a lot more of the crime, and it's morally worse. Shout out to Aaron for Parents. Aaron for Parents is the parent whose daughter was being groomed to be transgender at an art club after school. They called it Art Club. Ooh. She has a movie called Art Club. Check it out and follow Aaron for Parents. It's Aaron for Parents. If there is a case to be made that Tina Peters is a critical material witness with firsthand knowledge whose testimony materially impacts some case, and that testimony cannot be derived through other sources, that case is weaponization of government. It's funny because Colorado moralizes about how no one is above the law, and their actions against election deniers, particularly in the summer of 2021, see August, most pronounced with Tina Peters, but crossing multiple counties, are the gold standard of justice being done. In reality, this body of work might be their greatest liability. We, specifically the citizens that have been the targets, victims of this body of work, have been building the record of it for years, hoping one day justice would be possible. That record is thick. It's time for it to be heard. And I shout out Emerald Robinson because I kind of pitched this theory a couple months ago, or part of it, like a something similar to this theory a couple months ago on her show. Remember what I said on your show? Trump cuts funding as harsh measures isn't sexy, but the nation grossly underestimates how important discretionary federal spending is to Colorado commies. Trump knows exactly how important it is. It's important enough to make Colorado choose violence. I've been predicting a Rocky Mountain showdown, not the gay one where the Buffs play Colorado's JV team, but a government one for over a year. And I linked to November of last year. That's actually a Tom Homan, Phil Weiser showdown on immigration, November 2024. And it's awesome because they just unsealed all those indictments. And there's, people in Colorado. It's delightful. Weiser has 47 lawsuits against the administration or their policies. He's been on offense for a while. The feds have been investigating for a while. All the strongly worded letters that all the nothing is happening people talk about. The past couple of weeks, they've been showing some of their work in Colorado and for Colorado's role in conspiracies in other states. That's particularly true about the immigration one. And it's not just immigration, it's like drug trafficking, right? It's the cartel stuff, the TDA stuff. This showdown is a masterclass in the order of rights in our nation. We have the power to change it if we don't like it, but we have to first understand it, pay attention. And then, of course, that's the law in Colorado.
I'm with you. I mean, I think that's something that we've been in support of since the very beginning of the Trump administration when he put out the executive order on elections. And, we knew that the only weight that would have is the ability to withhold funding if they don't comply with the EAC. That's all HAVA is. That's all the NVRA is. All those are. They don't have any, criminal penalties, to any teeth behind the substance of their laws. That's all you have is withholding federal funding. And we don't do it enough, and we need to do it more, a lot more. Like even the threat of it is enough.
And in Colorado, we have the NOAA thing that just happened. Mm-hmm. We have the election voter roll investigation, right? The Jenna Griswold, take a hike. I ain't giving you nothing, right? That's that one going on. We have the prison thing. We have Tina Peters' appeal, January 14th, 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time in the Colorado Court of Appeals is the oral arguments in Tina Peters' criminal conviction appeal. So her actual appeal. And that appeal is the reason that the federal court said she might have a case on the First Amendment, but I can't act because it's still happening in Colorado courts. It's still, she hasn't exhausted Colorado courts. I believe this January thing exhausts Colorado courts for her. She might have to go to the Supreme Court, but we'll see.
And then, well, I mean, you can take as much time as you'd like, but can you also get into the Tina Peters thing, the redacted thing? Because I haven't seen this yet, and I know we kind of went over it briefly last week, but I was not feeling well, so.
Hang on 1 second. Lord Help Us Now says 47 lawsuits against who? Can you please explain all of it? So the immigration lawsuits, the cutting of funding, the federal, you can't fire federal workers. You can't cut our funding here. You can't do this. It's against President Trump's 47 lawsuits against President Trump's agenda. And that some of that's President Trump, some of it's, specific agencies, some of it's on behalf of NGOs. Like it's real silly. And this is so Colorado. On the first of every month, usually, I don't know if he's done it every month, but I've seen a bunch of them. On the first of the month, he puts up this graphic for his campaign because he's running for governor. So he puts up this graphic for his campaign and he has the lawsuits. Like, if you were in the federal government, this would be a Hatch Act violation. I don't know it's certainly unethical, but should be called out that he's touting his lawsuits using taxpayer dollars against Trump administration as a campaign accomplishment every month. Yeah.
These people are deranged. These people are absolutely effing deranged. And we're going to get into the most deranged of all here in a moment. But I do want you to go through
the most deranged of all, Jenna. We're going, Jenna.
Oh, Mark Elias.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Norm Eisen. Yeah, he's up there too.
Yeah.
He's up there too. But those two are peas in a pod. So, do you want to do the Tina Peters and the redaction? Because make this make sense for me.
What are you talking about? The redaction?
The justification for transfer.
Oh yeah. Do you have that? Hang on. Let me see if I can pull it in real quick.
I don't. Sean Ryan interviewed Hunter Biden. No, but I did. I was watching him interview the Y-Files guy briefly before, and I only got to the part where he's saying every civilization in history has a story about giants, so maybe giants are real.
Okay, so this is a totally separate path in my opinion, but I need to show you guys so it can make sense.
We need a Cheers themed Norm Eisen video.
Okay, so this is the request made by the Department of Justice on November 12th, 2025, to transfer Tina Peters to the Federal Bureau of Prisons to serve her sentence. This paragraph, and actually it was these next two lines were also redacted. I don't know if I can, I'll look after I'm done reading it. To see if I have that so I can show you. But this paragraph is the justification for why. The request is made pursuant to Intergovernmental Agreement 148-0 provisions between the Federal Bureau of Prisons and the Colorado Department of Corrections. This individual currently has no federal sentence or federal charges. The request is solely to allow Ms. Peters to serve her existing state sentence within BOP custody as the conditions that she is currently confined in with the Colorado Department of Corrections are not conducive to the factors involved in her case. Ms. Peters will be housed within the Board of Prisons at no cost to the Colorado Department of Corrections. The Board of Prisons is ready to coordinate all necessary logistics and documentation to ensure a smooth transition of custody of Ms. Peters. Should additional information be required, you can contact us directly, and that is the Office of the Director of the Office of the Director of the U.S. Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Okay, and so now originally the part in red was redacted by whom?
By CDOC. So when this, as I understand it, and I didn't get this from the government, so I wasn't a part of it when it rolled out. But when it was given to the media, like released to, through press release, whatever, and directly through the media, it was the Department of Corrections. But I don't know if it was the Department of Corrections that put it out to the media or if they produced it to another government agency and they put it out to the media. But that was all redacted when the government gave it to the media. The Colorado government gave it to the media.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, it made me say why. Right?
Right.
What is so like that actually seems to help them. Like they're not saying she's a witness. They're not saying you could debunk all the conspiracy theories, right? Debunk all the conspiracy theories. The state could, the Colorado, people defending Colorado's actions could with that paragraph. So what I landed on was that it's got to be this Intergovernmental Agreement 148-0. The Intergovernmental Agreement 148-0 provisions between the Federal Bureau of Prisons and the Colorado Department of Corrections. And I issued open records for it. I didn't even get a response. I looked on, all of the different official sites, tried to use the machine to help me find it. Couldn't find it.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. What's the agreement? So I wonder if the Intergovernmental Agreement makes like actually gives means they kind of have to transfer her at their request.
That's what I'm wondering. Did you do an open records request with BOP?
I did with both FOIA. I both did FOIA and CORA, CDOC and Bureau of Prisons.
And did you get no responsive records or what?
They didn't respond at all.
You didn't get any response from either one. Have you tried again? I'd be sending that thing every day.
No, I will.
I'd send it certified mail.
Yeah.
Send a copy certified mail and make them sign for it. That's fascinating. I now I'm curious what 148-0 is. I thought it could.
So then,
go ahead.
Okay, so in addition to that, right? Just things that are weird, right? Things that are weird about this whole situation. The pardon. So President Trump announced that he was pardoning Tina Peters for, anything sort of, I read it as sort of anything having to do with elections in 2020, her actions and whatnot. He phrases it differently, but that's basically the gist. Federal crimes, right? And he doesn't in the pardon say that he's pardoning her, state level convictions for attempting to influence public official, but the pardon is out there. The response to the pardon, of course, is, well, that doesn't mean anything, right? That's very silly. All of the Colorado people came out, same kinds of videos. He can't do this. He's a tyrant. We're going to fight him, file a lawsuit. So Trump announced that pardon on the 11th. On December 6th, Peter Tickton sent, it's dated, the letter that he sent to President Trump, the 9-page letter that talks about Tina. And at the end, he says, you have the right to pardon her. right? He sent that letter. It's dated on December 6th. He told us about it 2 days later on the 8th. On the Monday is when the news broke to us, but the letter was dated the 6th, where it's President Trump, you have the ability to pardon Tina Peters. You know, here's what they meant, the pronouns, right? Remember the pronouns? Like the US is they, them, so you can pardon Tina Peters. So that was dated the 6th, came out on the 8th. The actual pardon is dated December 5th.
Oh, so it came out before
It was signed before. Trump didn't announce it until after, but it was signed before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk off air, but I'll help you out with that 148-0 and see if we can go after that. And I don't know, maybe if we should send in FOIAs with like Badlands letterhead, Gateway letterhead, Colorado Free Press letterhead, just like pound BOP, because that's where I think we'd most likely be able to get, some movement on there. And we do have some contacts in the DOJ, so maybe we could get some movement on that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that and I'm on the alpaca rug, right? But I think it's an ongoing investigation, Brian. So I don't know that they're going to produce open records to us. They should tell us they're not going to do it, though. And it might have gone to spam. I actually need to check. So Artsy Jones says, so what's next? So for Tina Peters, oral arguments are next. Her attorney, John Case, joined Steve Bannon and said, we're super grateful that we got the pardon. At some point, that's going to have to be brought to court. I wonder if, and this might be done, I haven't done the research on it, but I wonder if Tina will have standing to actually bring that, or because it's challenging the validity of the pardon, if it has to be the Trump administration, if it has to be Trump to bring that challenge. I don't know, but I think all the legal resources right now are probably preparing for the oral arguments. So yeah, that's what's next on her, the open pass on her situation. Then there's all these other investigations, and the unsealed indictments yesterday of all of the Tren de Aragua cartel member stuff. Did you cover that on the air?
No. No, I don't think we covered it on the air, other than mentioning that there was indictments on the Tren de Aragua leaders. But
it's interesting.
It's
RICO. It's structured like a RICO. Here, I'll find it. Do what you're going to do next, and then I was
going to get into the DOJ suing Fulton County and Mark Elias's response. So
okay,
I can
hang on.
I can hold off on that. I can troll the chat here for a minute. No, BOP is even deeper in shit than we thought. All of it's deep in shit. The entire system is covered in shit. The entire thing. Fulton County deserves it. Yes, they do. Fulton County deserves every single thing that is coming at them right now, and they're going to get more. They're going to get more. It's not done. But I will say this, though. Mark Elias's argument to why they shouldn't have to respond is really concerning, and I think they need to fight just that argument alone and get some precedent on the record.
Okay. So, let's zoom in a little bit on this. All right. So it is multiple indictments against more than 70 individuals, including leaders and members of Tren de Aragua. The actions included indictments across District of Colorado, Nebraska, New Mexico, Southern District of New York, and Southern District of Texas. Notably, no Washington field office. So then they talk about the things, like all the talking points and quotes. But then if you come down here, you can see the way they've structured this. And this is, so if we go into Colorado, this actually made me kind of happy because let me find the jewelry store. So for example, this Joyeria El Ruby, this place was robbed like a couple of times. They beat this old lady with a pistol whipped her in the middle of the robbery. Then, made off with millions of dollars in goods, went back down allegedly to Venezuela, right? The story that we're told is that the perpetrators fled to, I think like one or two of them fled to Venezuela before they could be tried. And then one of them was tried and got like, not a harsh enough sentence or whatever. So within, oh, it's not showing. Sorry, it's not showing you this. So think back to, Brian, when President Trump came to Aurora and did a rally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what like the main topic was, says RICO conspiracy alleging that from May 2024 through on or about March of 2025, Suarez Villejas, maybe Mosquera Serrano, that's two people, conducted activity for Tren de Aragua through a pattern of racketeering activity that included robbery, extortion, kidnapping, money laundering, and controlled substance offenses. Suarez Villejas, Mosquera Serrano are also charged with conspiracy to commit robbery and counts of firearms offenses, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just like it's like street gang activity, right? When you come down, then we get the cyber stalking, firearms offenses, kidnapping, ransom, torture. This was the pulling of the lady's fingernails out. I think that's what I think this is the pulling of the lady's fingernails out of Tren de Aragua. So the point. So wait, there's one other thing. Oh yeah. The investigation is being handled by the FBI Denver field office and the Denver Police Department with assistance from the Colombian National Police and DEA Bogota Country Office Group 3. And then you come down to all these other states. So you're showing the conspiracy. So I think it's really interesting. There was a thing in here that said there was a bunch of other people too. I think I skipped past it. But I think it's interesting. So this is the Colorado one, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we go back over here, there's it's the portfolio of crime in the different jurisdictions, right? Where I think we're going to see this. It's very encouraging to me that this was happening in the background, that these, these things were actually, that we're seeing the third act of the apartment complex takeover and that whole Trump rally and everything. We're seeing the I don't know, maybe it's the second act. I don't know. That's burning bright. But yeah, it's cool. I'm encouraged by it. Again, I'm on the alpaca rug, but like I'm really encouraged
And
by
fully on it.
Yeah, the RICO. They're teaching us about RICOs, Brian. Pay attention.
Stand fully on it. All right. So I just literally saw this and nothing makes my blood boil more than this. Tim Burchett, not the B, put out Fulton County admits it illegally certified 315,000 ballots in 2020 election. Tim Burchett, where's the national news coverage of this? Bro, I have been screaming this.
Well, you're not national news. I mean, like, we're not the national news. He's not talking about you. He's talking about CNN. Why hasn't CNN put this out?
Why wasn't he covering it when we were putting it out? I know they can see this stuff. Matt Gaetz made it a point to say that Gateway Pundit's not allowed to be viewed in Congress anymore. Like, he made it a point that they censored our website, that Gateway's website from Congress. So 3 years, where have you been, dude? Like, none of this that we're seeing right now. And I love that it's being rehashed, because, it's like one of those things, like, you get to pat yourself on the back and be like, I was talking about this 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. But it's also very important that it gets rehashed. So I'm not mad that he's exposing this and he's putting some fresh eyeballs on it. But dude,
you're not mad, you're just disappointed.
I'm disappointed. This should have been done 3 years ago, man. And this should have been something that you're talking about every single Friday night at 7:30 or Tuesdays back in the day when we used to do it at 5 p.m.
Yeah, we did it on Tuesdays for a little while.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. All right. So let's
it had to be this way though, Brian. Didn't it have to be this way?
Yeah.
I actually kind of think it did. If you think back to where people's not Badlands, right? Not people that are kind of truther and maybe even truthers, but the broad public mind, if President Trump did then the things he was doing now, they would have impeached him 6 times.
Yeah.
Now everybody's like, more.
Yeah, right. now we want to see it all. And God bless Rasmussen Reports for putting it out over and over again right now, doing all this rehash series. And I love it because I'll wake up and I'll be like, hey, they tagged me in 5 different things. And it's all stuff that, you know, we've been talking about this whole time, me and Ash and all of us here at Badlands. But
that's a good thing, right? Like it's you know, annoying and good for us for being early, but it's important that more people realize that our elections are fake. Because that's gonna when people stop putting their faith in fake elections, and then we can actually do something about the fake elections, I think.
Correct. All right. So the Department of Justice has now sued Fulton County Clerk of Courts because the ballots themselves do not reside, and the ballot stubs and the ballot envelopes do not reside with the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections anymore. They've handed it over to the Clerk of Courts. And, you know, these records have obviously been subpoenaed many times by the Georgia State Election Board. I think we're at 3 times now. It might be 2. I'm not sure. That they've been subpoenaed. You now have a board, the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, that are acting at the behest of the chairman. The chairman, I think her name's Sherry Allen, went and hired a law firm to respond to the DOJ's letter of inquiry from a month ago or so. And they didn't take a vote on it. Like, they went and hired a private law firm to respond to this without taking a vote from the board about how to respond to this. And you can't do that with taxpayer money. You can't, you know, the board as a whole cannot, the chairman cannot, or chairwoman in this case, cannot unilaterally say, hey, I'm going to use $200,000 of taxpayer funds to respond to this letter and to hire this law firm. And oh, by the way, the law firm just happens to be Charlene McGowan, the general counsel for the Secretary of State's office. It happens to be her old law firm that is making this money now. So, you know, it's kind of a little wicked, corrupt web, excuse me, in Fulton County. But this is what I wanted to get into tonight. And let me share my screen here. It's not in Brave, so I got to do it a little differently. And this is a response here, a motion to intervene on behalf of Elias Law Group. Well, Elias Law Group on behalf of Black Voters Matter Fund, the CWA local and 2 CWA local councils. And so let's go ahead and read through a little bit of this until we get to the part where he makes the meat and potatoes of his argument. Introduction. The United States Department of Justice has been enlisted in a campaign to fan the flames of conspiracy and sow doubt about the legitimacy of the 2020 election by going after the ballots and related records. Those ballots and materials are kept under seal by Georgia law, and no federal law justifies the DOJ's far-reaching demand.
Why though? Like, why?
It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth here.
Like, fan the flames of conspiracy, homie. The building burned down, bro. Like, your house of cards is not up anymore.
And the reason that I thought that opening statement was so interesting is because this is literally a lawsuit to legitimize the election, and it's the only thorough and robust effort that can be done to legitimize this election. And they're not claiming that the election was fraud in the lawsuit. They're just saying we want to look at it because it's a civil rights issue. And the fact that this is being withheld from the people, the ballots, then there is a Title III Civil Rights, 1960 Civil Rights Act issue here. And their response is, well, you're trying to delegitimize the election. No, we just want the truth, one way or the other. So voters will have the sanctity of their ballots and privacy rights violated if the DOJ wins the relief it seeks, which is mind-blowing to me. How can possibly exactly how does he say this?
How?
No, not really. This is more of those, just make blanket generalized blanket statements.
Well, it's 28 pages long. Does he go into? He's making that. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
He'll go in a little bit. All 3 groups are dedicated to mobilizing voters, and those efforts will be undermined if Georgians are deterred from voting on account of a vengeful federal government having the opportunity to rummage through their ballots, years after an election, they're anonymous ballots. They are completely anonymous. I can give you a ballot. I can give you every record you could ever ask for, and you'll never be able to tie that ballot to a single voter.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but that's a argument they can use to obstruct. Excellent use of rummage too.
proposed interveners have a clear interest in safeguarding their own voter engagement missions. Those interests would be severely impaired if the DOJ wins the relief it seeks. Background: the DOJ
whose voter engagement initiatives?
Black Voters Matter Fund. And then CWA, I can't remember what CWA stands for. So DOJ seeks ballots from the 2020 election in Fulton County to further election denying conspiracy theories. In Fulton County, it was a landslide. President Trump lost by nearly 244,000 votes. Through subsequent investigations by the state of Georgia and others, virtually all of the conspiracy theories about the election, many of them seeking to delegitimize Fulton County voters, were thoroughly debunked.
Fact check false.
The only piece of evidence that could thoroughly debunk any of the claims that have been made are the relief that is sought in this lawsuit. So your thoroughly debunked is utter nonsense. The other thing that's really contradictory right here, Ash, is he's saying the DOJ can't look at these things because the DOJ would compromise the voter, like could compromise the voters and would disenfranchise the voters and, you know, dissuade them from being able to vote, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, the state of Georgia, who has far more influence over the, you know, the voters in that state, is already doing all of this. And they're okay with it. Why? Because they know the state's in on it. This is a RICO case in Georgia that we're looking at, I think. And they know that the state of Georgia is in on it. So they want Georgia to be the final say in whether or not this is a legitimate case. Thoroughly debunked. Love it. On October 6th, the Georgia State Election Board sent a subpoena to the Fulton County BRE, Board of Registration Elections, for certain 2020 ballot materials, even though a thorough investigation by the Georgia Secretary of State already repudiated the conspiracy theory animating the state board subpoenas. Again, it's the same thing. You can't repudiate their claims because you haven't looked at the evidence that would be the evidence that would substantiate or disprove their claims. That's what this whole case is about.
Yeah, but the way that this works, Brian, and you know this, the way that this works is that you dodge from the substance by making absolute statements that can't be challenged, right? Thoroughly debunked. Don't look at it anymore, everybody. It's a conspiracy theory. You'll be one of those crazy election deniers if you look at it. It's been thoroughly debunked. Don't do that. You know, I used to think that them making the claims in a court of law meant something in terms of them having to be truthful. I know that's not true. So
for those that might not know, a lot of the Georgia Secretary of State's office investigation and whatnot was hindered around Kevin Moncla and Joe Rossi's State Election Board 2023-025 claim, which we've covered on this show ad nauseum. We've covered this complaint so many times on this show. Nothing that they that's in that report, nothing has been debunked. In fact, most of it has been validated. Joe Rossi's duplicate ballots is validated. You know, Phil Davis's duplicate ballots is validated. When they issued this response, so normally, and they completely and totally broke protocol when they did this, because normally when there's a response to an investigation, when they present the investigation, the complainants get an opportunity to respond and present a counterclaim, right? Or a counter case. They get to argue and question the investigators. They were not allowed to do that in this case. Kevin and Joe were not allowed to be there well, they could be there, but they weren't allowed to ask questions. They weren't allowed to, you know, rebut any of this. And so they've issued rebuttals, and we've covered the rebuttals. So, you know, Mark Elias, you are treading water like drowning right now, drowning.
Yeah, it's like the Mark Elias and the Mesa County Images thing, right? They put out the debunk, and I actually had another. If we have time for it, I had another tweet thread about that.
Let's jump down here. Georgia law, no valid legal basis supports the DOJ's demand. And this is where it gets a little bit concerning for election integrity moving forward. Georgia law dictates that the materials are to be held under seal by the clerk of courts and cannot be disclosed absent an order of the Superior Court to unseal the records. Georgia law also protects voters' personal identifying information found on the signature envelopes and corresponding digital files from disclosure. Again, you're disclosing this stuff to government employees, right? Like there is, you don't have, I don't think there's a presumption, like these are public records, right? Yeah. Your voter registration is a public record. You can FOIA somebody's voter registration. And so to make this argument is quite absurd, even though the only thing they really want from here is the actual signatures, a name and a signature. That's it. They don't, you can redact the date of birth. You can redact any other PII.
Well, you need the exemplar too, right?
The what?
The exemplar signature, the one to compare it to in the system. So they're asking for 2 signatures.
Well, yeah, the exemplar would be a separate request though. But in terms of the record here, they're just asking for to see the name and the signature itself.
Just on the envelope, not on the. They don't want the ones on the.
Well, you don't sign ballots.
No, they don't want the ones that they compare the signature. You can't. How do you? I mean, I guess you can do an analysis on whether or not it's, computer generated or whatever. But what are you comparing it to determine if the signature is fraud? If you're not requesting.
Well, that's a good question. That would be a separate request because that wouldn't be through. So this was directly.
I think they are though. If you scroll back up a little bit, corresponding digital files from disclosure.
Where?
Right there.
The signature.
So they're asking for the envelopes and the exemplar. So yeah, they are. I think.
Perhaps no. They're asking. They also asked for the images of the envelopes. That's what they mean by digital, because they didn't ask for the exemplars in the lawsuit. I've read the lawsuit. It's only 8 pages. But again, that would not be the Fulton County Superior Clerk Courts that you would be getting that from. That would be coming from the Department of Registration and Elections or the Board of Registration and Elections directly. So that would be a whole separate ask that you would have to have. This is specifically aimed at Che Alexander, who is the Fulton County Superior Clerk of Courts. And so, yeah, that is for, so the totality of what they were asking for was the physical paper ballots, the ballot images, digital ballot images, the physical envelopes, the physical stubs, and the envelope images that they're supposed to get from the Blue Crest sorter, which didn't work. So we know that those don't exist. Yeah. Okay. DOJ's sole claim is that it is entitled to the ballot materials under the Civil Rights Act of 1960, which requires election officials to maintain, quote, for a period of 22 months, records, quote, relating to any application, registration, payment of poll tax, or other act requisite to voting in such election. DOJ's demand fails under Title III's plain text twice over. The 2020
pause there for a second. Go back up. I just want to point out that this is under Civil Rights Act 1960. I love the poetry of the fact that the civil rights champions out there in the NAACP and all those kinds of people, all those kinds of groups, the League of Women, the super lefty civil rights
Black
people
Voters Matter Fund
are fighting against the transparency and the the preservation of rights in elections when it goes the other way.
Yep. Good call. DOJ's demands fails under Title III's plain text twice over. The 2020 election occurred over 61 months ago, outside of Title III's 22-month retention. Yes, but there's litigation holds on these. There are court orders to retain the images. And while 52 USC 2071 does recall for 22 months, it doesn't say that after 22 months, the DOJ can no longer look at these documents if they happen to still exist. There are state laws like Colorado, for example, is 24 months. Georgia is 24 months. There are, state laws that require retention longer than the federal law. There's also state laws that are shorter or, whatever.
Well,
but
also they can't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Good.
Well, they can't just wait out the statute of limitations and then say, oh, the statute of limitations is up. And it's not as though these records hadn't been requested. They've been requested repeatedly and they're under preservation order. So you can't, that's to me. So all of the arguments that we've seen so far are super weak.
Yeah.
Right? They're grasping. He's grasping. And I don't think it's going to go his way.
Yeah. It's utter desperation. That's what it is.
Yeah.
This is pure desperation. Because again, I said, it does require 22-month retention. It does not say that you can no longer look after the 22-month retention if they still happen to be retained, and they happen to still be retained.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like you can't avoid compliance as a government. You can't avoid compliance for 22 months and then be like, oh, sorry, the statute of limitations is up. But that's what has happened in Fulton County. And
Yes.
I mean, it's been under the subject of court proceedings, as we talked about.
All right, reading on the best.
So not producing it is a crime. Is
Yeah.
the end of that sentence.
DOJ also fails to state a sufficient basis and purpose to invoke Title III as the statute requires. The best DOJ can muster is to assert it seeks the ballot materials to ascertain, quote, Fulton County's compliance with federal election law, particularly the NVRA. The claim cannot be taken seriously.
And Hava. Don't skip Hava and Hava.
Yeah. That claim cannot be taken seriously. Both statutes primarily concern rules regarding voter registration. Neither has anything to do with the ballot materials DOJ seeks here. DOJ makes little effort to hide its true purpose, to aid the state board in its conspiracy-chasing project aimed at delegitimizing Fulton County's voters and denying President Trump's loss in the 2020 general election. Now, let me go back up here to read the meat and potatoes of 52 USC, which they do actually cite correctly, so there's no issues here, relating to any application, registration, payment of a poll tax, or other act requisite to voting. So now, again, this is the meat and potatoes of their argument, and it is concerning because they could find some crazy lunatic leftist judge, like Totenberg, who's like, oh yeah, you don't have a right to know how your vote was counted accurately, just that your vote was accepted and counted. This could unhinge like the entire concept behind election integrity, because if this is upheld, if this argument that Elias is making is supported and upheld by a court, they don't have to retain any records unless it's the voter roll stuff. You don't have to have chain of custody documents anymore. You don't have specifically around voting. And it is absurd. And I think, Ash, you remember a few weeks ago, I was asking you, like, can you think of a case where 52 USC 2071 has ever determined that ballots are in fact a part of that, record retention requirement?
I thought Marilyn Marks in Colorado did.
I have not. I'll text her.
She
after
came
the
on our
show,
show and she, text her and ask her, because I think
yeah.
her case might have.
I will definitely ask her after the fact, but I went looking. I spent probably a good day going through and reading past case law and trying to find. I played with the AI machines up and down, left and right. Now, I firmly believe that requisite to voting in such elections means everything having to do with voting. And in 1960, they didn't have electronic voting machines. So, this is, I think the scope of 52 USC, it needs to be clarified, apparently, because otherwise you're going to have, communist assholes like Mark Elias suing over it. But it does need to be clarified. What does that entail? Does it include system logs? Now, going back to the argument we had about the federal
John
registry.
says yes. In that show that we did debunking Matt Crane's thing, he said absolutely, and he pointed to the statutes. I can't quote them, but
Well, it wasn't. I I don't know the statutes that he quoted, but I remember when we did the show with Alpha and Colonel Smith, I talked about the DOJ's guide on prosecuting election crimes, and it says that ballot retention, any election evidence that can be used to as evidence of a crime, system log, cybercrime, especially system log files, the ballot images, the ballots themselves, like all of these records need to be retained. But again, Elias is arguing here that no, they don't. That's his argument.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also entertaining.
It should come as no surprise that DOJ fails to identify any federal law supporting its demand for Fulton County's 2020 ballot materials. The U.S. Constitution, quote, invests the states with responsibility for the mechanics, end quote, of elections, subject to any decision by Congress to, quote, preempt state legislative choices. Though Congress has enacted several laws, such as the NVRA and HAVA, governing voter registration, Congress has left the actual administration of elections to the states, and as a result has never given DOJ carte blanche to demand access to ballots. I'm telling you, this is the argument that he's going to make, or that he's making, and I really, really hope that a judge shoots this down, and I really hope somebody like Tim Burchett, who has a newfound interest in election fraud, apparently, gets his buddies together in Congress and passes a law that, Article 1, Section 4, the preemptive clause, that Congress passes a law that requires and specifically outlines the records that must be retained by the states for all federal elections. Proposed interveners comprise Black Voters Matter Fund. They seek to intervene both to protect the voting rights and privacy rights of their members and constituents, and also to safeguard their own organizational interest in voter engagement, which will be undermined if Fulton County voters are deterred from voting based on the fear that their ballots and personal information will fall into the hands of a vengeful a vengeful federal government pursuing a political narrative. That's so rich to me. The federal government can't have any of my information, but I'm going to hand it over to a weaponized NGO that I have no idea what the fuck they're going to do with it outside of maybe registering me to vote. Do they sell it to third parties? Am I going to get spam mailed? Am I going to get all the text messages for voter campaigns, candidates campaigns, etc.?
Am I going to have my vote diluted?
Yeah, right. Are you diluting my vote by just going up and signing up any living,
or Eric?
Breathing, or
I mean, I was thinking about Eric because, I was reminded today by Garland Favorito of Voter GA that I have evidence that Matt Crane was sending talking points to the Colorado clerks, and kind of the same story. I don't know if he sent the actual attachment of talking points, but actual attachment of talking points to debunk the Mesa County reports, to influence the behavior of the public officials. He was sending those talking points. And then he sent, the same narrative to the General Assembly, 35 senators and 65 representatives, 64 county clerks, 164 people, that if it turns out, Brian, that operating system logs do have to be retained, and he knew that, but sent the talking points to influence those public officials, do you think it's 3.5 years times 164, or is it 3.5 years times every false statement that he sent to those 164 people?
I'm going to go with the latter.
It's like between 220 and 574 years that he's looking at.
Yeah. He'll be in Colorado prisons for he'll be in prison for a long time. Federal prison. BVMF, Black Voters Matters Fund, engages in voter registration and get out the vote programming, as well as development and training programs, policy advocacy, and direct expenditures. These initiatives would be undermined if Georgia voters come to believe that the ballots they cast and the information they provide when casting those ballots will not remain secret and private. Again, nothing is exposing secrecy or privacy in the ballot, period. Period.
It's just a narrative shield.
But will instead be subject to scrutiny by federal law enforcement for years after the fact. You should hope there's scrutiny in how our votes are cast, especially considering that the federal scrutiny is going to have no idea whether it's a black voter, a white voter, an Indian voter, an Asian voter that cast that ballot.
What if, like, Alabama starts doing tests on black people when they go to vote again? Are you saying, Mark Elias, that the federal government doesn't have the ability to do anything about that?
Interesting pushback there.
Well, they've inverted their argument, is my point.
Yes.
They've inverted, because it's Trump's federal government. The federal government can't do that. But when it's the leftist federal government, then the federal government can do fucking anything it wants.
How about automatic?
And you have to have principled standards. I mean, at least I think so.
How about automatic voter registration? Whenever you engage with a federal entity and they're registering you to vote, they are taking your information and they are gaining access to your information, so they can have it on the front end of the election. They just can't have it on the back end. That makes sense.
Yeah,
make sense.
No offense intended to Alabama. I was going Jim Crow and Selma popped in my head.
Way to go.
That was Alabama, wasn't it?
All those damn Alabama. Yeah, I think that was. This chilling effect will be particularly strongly felt in the black community in Georgia due to the long history of race-based discrimination in voting by government actors. And I think that's all I've got for the argument here, because that's the main gist of the argument, is that part that I was telling you about, the 52 USC. That's what they want to argue.
Yeah.
It's concerning. Very concerning.
And just a reminder that in it was Kansas versus, I can never remember who the person was, but it was GOP. It was Kansas League of Women Voters, Kansas versus the Secretary of State and someone else in Georgia over signature verification stuff and other law. They'd passed voter integrity measures in Kansas, and League of Women Voters challenged them. And in their arguments, and in one of the dissenting justices, dissent, his written dissent, they made the argument that signature verification is an unnecessary poll tax. That people have proved who they are when they register to vote, and asking them to prove who they are when they vote is an unnecessary poll tax. And if it was just the League of Women Voters forwarding that argument, it would be laughable and fine, whatever, because they're retarded. But it was one of the justices who laid it out and basically said, yeah, man, I think it's totally unnecessary poll tax. Just rain ballots from the sky and don't ask anybody any questions.
All right. That's all I've got.
We have some rants.
Yes, we do have some rants. But before we get into the rants, though, let's talk about soft disclosure.
Soft Disclosure just dropped new favorites for the season. The lotion, your 5-ounce favorite, is still here. And now we've added full 11-ounce bottles. New Lavender Tea Tree Deodorant, clean, calm, and effective. New Tallow Bars, Chamomile Lemon Rose and Naked. Rich moisture that actually works. And now the lineup is complete. Beard oil in unscented and spiced vanilla. Palo lip balms, available in chamomile mint, vanilla, naked, and vanilla tangerine. Palo Bar minis for pocket-ready hydration. Available in vanilla coffee and naked. And finally, lavender vanilla lotion. Clean, calm, and made to work. Visit softdisclosure.com. Use code Badlands and get 15% off. Soft Disclosure, for truth you can gift.
All right, softdisclosure.com. Get you some of that beard oil. I'll tell you what, nothing feels better getting out of the shower, leaving just a little bit of water in your beard, and then just putting that stuff in there, and it comes out feeling all silky smooth and nice. And oh man, I love it. I can't wait to take it. Do you have the
naked or the vanilla one?
I have the naked, and I don't think I have any of the other ones I sent it, because they sent me like 3 samples when they first launched it, and so I'm still using those ones, and I know for sure that I have the naked, and I think I also have the vanilla because as long as it's not the garlic oil. I'm not making that mistake again.
Yeah, or oregano oil. You put that in there. You could
Yeah.
put the oregano and the garlic oil, but then you probably always be hungry.
It is fantastic though. Well, I can smell garlic right now, which is why it's really killing me because Christy's making dinner. So
yeah, I have the chamomile lemon rose tallow bar, which is just so on Alpha's Make Sandwiches a few weeks ago. Abby did a video of her kind of facial routine that she's using the tallow bar for. And I use face oils. And so I hadn't tried the tallow bar on my face. Tried it, kind of all over the body, but not on the face. So I tried the chamomile lemon rose one. And boy, it's really nice, light, good, moisturizing, easy to put on, but it makes me realize why like the mini tallow bars are such a great thing because of the, the angles and things when you're getting in sort of targeted precision areas. But the tallow bars are also a fantastic product. And the vanilla coffee tallow bar, the coffee beans are roasted in the wet Mountain Valley. The coffee beans have the coffee that goes into that. So it's like you got the goat's milk, the beef from the tallow, you got Willow Wind Farm you're supporting, you got the coffee roaster guy, and of course Badlands Media you're supporting.
Yeah.
So force multiply your dollars and put your money where your morals are. Softdisclosure.com, promo code Badlands, and the 15% is ending at the end of the year, so take advantage of that now.
Yeah, that is really badass. Like folks really need to understand that when you buy Soft Disclosure, not only is it like one of the best ways to help us as the content creators on the platform, but there's everything behind Soft Disclosure is American businesses. And, like Ash said, there's 5 businesses that you guys are supporting, American businesses. When you do that, it's absolutely incredible, and you get a great product. All right, Rumble Rants here. RSCRIV.
Becky.
What the
Becky.
fuck? Oh, sorry, Becky. Our electricity was turned off at 4 today. Parker, small part. We are serviced by Core. No matter how this is, Excel lines. We have 0 wind.
Okay, so Excel said, sorry guys, we're shutting down everybody's power because windy. And that's happened up north, but it hasn't happened down to us. So I live in the same county as Becky. And I think that she was giving, real-time power, like weather updates, because in case my power was going to go out and I wasn't aware that we were going to have issues because I'm also Core. That's why, but thank you, Becky, for that. But I didn't lose power. I remember I told you that on Tuesday night, like they're shutting down power tomorrow. I might not have power because the wind is blowing, and I never lost power.
That's nuts, man. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose power. Do you lose all your heating when you lose power, or is that all gas?
Our fireplace is gas.
So you still
I think our heat might be gas.
So you still have heat though, right? You don't lose that.
Maybe. I don't know. Does it take electricity to make all that stuff run? I don't know.
I know when we lose power, we have gas for like cooking, and we still have gas. Like gas is independent from the power. So Becky then says, not sure if this was sent. Core power was turned back on. No email or text alert. Damn, 2 hours later. Can't imagine Jeffco or Boulder. Jefferson.
Yeah, some people have had their power out for like 18 hours now, and there's people freaking out about like what's going on. I mean,
they want you to spend more on your heating.
Pretty cold at night here.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Becky, again, I lived through many NorCal fires, 2017 to 2021. We cannot hate politicians enough. Hey,
agreed. Agreed. Thank you so much, Becky. I love you. I want to see you soon. Squeeze your neck.
Artsy Joan, great show. Thanks so much for your hard work. You make understanding all this BS easier. Praying for truth to win. Have a great weekend. Y'all give Lilypad a treat for me. Oh, I guess in Cash, Tango, and Johnny are just chopped onions. I'm just kidding.
So Joan painted that picture of Lilypad. She painted another one, and she sent me a picture of it today. It's really good.
Beautiful work, Joan. I should show you.
Love you, Joan. Merry Christmas.
I've done some airbrush artwork of dogs and cats, and I should probably do one of like my dogs, all 3 of them before.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I haven't pulled out the airbrush in a long time. One of these days, I'm going to do it just to do it. But
one of the fun things about on Alpha's Make Sandwiches is when Christy's doing the photo poses. what's
Cash
her name?
photo bombs him.
Yeah, Cash photo bombing her all the time. He
Yeah.
can't handle it. He can't handle not being up in it. And
He
is Bat Boy Christmassy still, or did you take his Christmassy stuff off?
Fat Boy Cash?
Bat Boy.
Oh no, Bat Boy still got his Christmas stuff on.
Okay.
Yeah, Bat Boy. I thought you said Fat Boy. I was like, Cash is chunky, but don't call him fat. I call him Chunk. She calls him Chunk. I call him Chunk. We call him Chunk because he's a chunky boy. All right, guys. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Smash that thumbs up on your way out. Check out our sponsors, Unicity, badlandshealth.com. We've got what else? We had Pet Club 24/7. Check them out as well. And of course, softdisclosure.com. Yeah, soft disclosure. Promo code
Are you
Badlands.
going to join OnlyLands later?
Probably not. I'm going to be watching Alabama, Missouri, and college football playoffs. Missouri. All right, guys. Take care. God bless. Have a great night. Stay tuned for Spellbreakers coming up here in about 9 minutes, followed by OnlyLands. I might make an appearance. I don't know if I'll be on the whole time, but all right. Take care. God bless, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.